So Vic, starting up as a business, as a small business, you obviously you have to start somewhere, otherwise you wouldn't get started. I'd like to talk today about at what point do you feel, or do we feel, or can we share with our listeners that it's the transition to scale up is appropriate. So it's I say we, as a society, as a, businesses, we like to put businesses into brackets or pigeonholes, don't we?
Yeah, like SMEs.
Like SMEs, micro, and it means that, they've got more than 5 people, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And there is a really clear definition of what is a startup business and then what is a scale-up business.
And we could put something in the show notes that that sends people to that, because I think that'd be quite handy if somebody isn't aware.
But I think the scale-up, so we'll talk about it, as we go through. But the scale up is very much linked to growth. That is the key word that defines a scale up business, or a business which is in the process of scaling up. And that growth doesn't have to be financial. It can be a number of other ways. But I feel like we're scaling up all the time, aren't we? We don't stand still. We're always striving for the next level.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I'd like to, just sort of touch on it, if I may, about language and mindset around I can't possibly do that, or I can't possibly charge that, or
yes,
or I couldn't.
Great topic.
I couldn't possibly work with businesses of that size. It's just that word, just. It's just me, or I just work with. And I think for me, the process of scaling up is one which is very much around putting yourself in the mindset of a scale up business. So it's not just you don't just serve customers of a certain type. So I think sometimes we can actually put ourselves in our own way, and that inhibits our, our growth.
And I don't think that's on purpose. I don't think we put ourselves in our own way at the startup stage before we get to scale up. I think it's that there's almost like this bubble that we sit in that we can't break through. And I think that's probably the difference between startup, when there's like parameters, and that could be people around, advisors, accountants, different people around that kind of set that. Do you think that's realistic? I've been having this for a few years of people saying to me, do you think these figures are realistic? And in my head, I'm swearing. I'm like, yes, I do. I believe that the numbers that I'm putting down as my projections are what's going to happen. And I think that's what happens there's like this bubble around us that protects us, because everybody's saying, oh, don't go getting too big for your boots now and all of this. And, we don't want people to feel like uncomfortable because of our growth. But at the same time, nobody's going to grow our business for us. Nobody's going to put our prices up for us. If we don't go after the clients that we want, that we really dream about working with. And I've got a job to tell you one.
Well, I'd love to. So I've obviously been a delegate for or participant in your growth program. And one of the things that you talked about, which is
what is she going to come out with?
Which is really great. And I think this is again linked to the mindset, is next level up.
Yeah.
So you talk about okay, we get to a plateau where we're really happy operating at this level with these type of customers, paying this type of cost for our services. How do you break through into next level up? What does that look like? So can you share with our listeners some more information about how to transition to next level up?
I think the first thing starts with what that dream is, understanding what your why is, what your dream is, and what you want to achieve first. So it's like setting down, having vision. I've got vision boards, like I've got one on my phone, one on my desktop. I've got 3 in my room that I get dressed in the morning. I'm visioning this next level.
Start with the end in mind.
Constantly, yeah. Like we said in the last episode about the bus, or 2 episodes ago, about the bus, you get on the bus and you know the destination. And a lot of the times I see businesses when I say, okay, so this is where we're at. What is the goal? And they'll say, well, I don't know, just to grow. But I'm like, okay, grow to what? Grow to how many people? Grow to what turnover? Grow to what profit? How do you want your business to grow? What do you see as that future vision so that you can make every decision today all about that longer term goal? I'll give you a bit of a story, actually. I was doing a session for the Food and Drink Forum in Nottingham a few years ago, and I have this guided visualization that I take businesses through. Have you been through my guided?
No.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to send you the link. We'll put the link in the show notes. So what happens is you kind of like visualize what your business is going to be like in 3 years, right? And so I walked into this theatre, and there was, I don't know, 30, 40 businesses sat in the theatre style. And I gave them all a blindfold, and they all put this blindfold on. And so then I talked through this visualization for about, I don't know, 15 minutes, something like this. And they all took their blindfolds off at the end. And they were a bit like, ooh, like, ooh, right, okay, yeah, that's interesting.
So this wasn't a VR headset. This was you talking.
This was
them
real
through
life Vic.
What's next level up could look like.
What their next level was going to be. And one lady at the front was particularly like, oh, blimey, gosh, that's like really interesting. And I said, would you like to share with us what you've seen? And she says, yeah. And she said, I am a startup business. I've got a food and drink product. And I have, in my 3-year vision, I have just walked out of a boardroom where I've just sold my product to the big boys.
Wow.
Oh, I've got goosebumps.
Yeah.
And she said, that changes everything now. She said, I hadn't thought about that, but now I know that every decision I make in my business today, tomorrow, the next day, is geared towards that
it's
end
getting
in
me
mind.
closer to that.
Yeah. And it's so powerful, because if we just aimlessly like run our businesses, wearing all these hats, like we said in the last episode, we can be busy fools. But actually, if we're strategic and we really think about what do we want our life to look like? What do we want our business to look like? Who do we want around us? What kind of people do we want to work with us? What kind of businesses do we want to support? We can decide that. And yes, sometimes, when you're already trading, or you might have, products on the shelf, you can't change on a sixpence like you can if you're a service-based business. But what you can do is start to make decisions that actually, let's say, for example, you want to put your pricing up. You might just put your pricing up for those next people that you take on, or your existing customers can stay on the existing pricing.
Yeah.
You don't have to make massive changes straight away and go, because then, the people that are loyal to you could then disappear.
I'd like to just build on the food and drink example, if I may. So all the time I have producers contacting me saying, can you help me get into the big boys, as you talk about? And my answer is always the same, no. But I can help you along the avenue of opportunity, which gets you closer to getting the listing with the big boys.
Yeah.
So if that is your end goal, amazing, brilliant that you have aspirations to that level for your business. However, there are a number of stages that you need to go through before you get there. And actually, the reason why that's important is because when you do get there, so when you're sitting in that boardroom, you have examples, you have proof of concept, you have a proven recipe for success, which says, I've grown this, I've tweaked this, I've done that, I've done the other. So actually, it makes your chances of getting the yes from the people in the boardroom more probable, because you have a whole heap of other credentials to take with you. And I absolutely love your point around pricing. So your new customers don't need to know how much your existing customers are paying.
No.
Actually, that's...
If you went and bought a tin of beans now from a shop you'd never bought from, would you think to yourself, well, how much was the customer paying last week before the prices went up? You wouldn't care. It's like, if I need the beans, I'll buy the beans.
Yeah. It's just so... I mean, that's really sort of sparked a thought process in my head, because at some point, you do have to make a change. You do have to, go to that next level up.
And it's scary.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely something where I mean, I obviously have coaches that support me with my growth, mindset and going to that next level. But I think it's something that it's really important to have somebody alongside you that understands, almost like has been to that next level, that can help pull you along and hold your hand and be like, it's okay, it's going to be fine, we're going to make some tweaks.
And I suppose as well, this it comes back to, doesn't it, around the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people. So you mentioned at the start, being with people who are like, oh, don't get too big for your boots. Well, that's not helpful and that's not encouraging.
And it's more about them.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's about their own limitations. And also, let's face it, sometimes there's a little bit of jealousy, isn't there, involved in terms of, I don't want them to be more successful than me. So, if we had to give some clear guidance in terms of how to move from startup to scale up, surely one of them has got to be around, pick the people you surround yourself by.
Yeah, definitely.
We've had a laugh, haven't we, about networking, for example, how we're trying to move into different circles in terms of our networking for this year and beyond. And I mean, this is totally off subject, but I'll sort of share it. I remember moving from, a corporate world into a self-employed world. And one of the biggest challenges I had at the start was what to wear.
Oh yeah.
And because when you're in a corporate job,
and that was before COVID, before things got more relaxed.
It was easy. You go to a business meeting, you're wearing a suit, and it's like your default, brill. It's almost like an unspoken uniform. You then become a business owner, so essentially you are your brand.
Yeah.
What do you wear? Because it's like, if I turn up in a suit, they're all going to think I'm stuffy and unapproachable.
Yeah.
If I turn up in jeans and trainers, they're going to think I'm casual and I'm not really taking this seriously. And potentially this is me reading too much into this, but actually I think it's not about what you wear. It's about what you feel most comfortable wearing that's going to enable you to project yourself in the right way.
And also that can really vary, because it can talk more about your personality as well. I mean, in some situations it wouldn't be socially acceptable. However, like to rock up with trainers if you were probably going to networking. However, I think it does talk about your personality. And we've spoken before about, we're going to go on a shopping trip soon, aren't we? And think about our next level up wardrobe and kind of, have fun together, just go try loads of different things on and buy some of those pieces that are going to be supportive for us to level up.
Whenever I'm So when I say whenever I'm on a stage, that has not happened that often. But if ever I'm speaking, in an environment, I always go formal. And the reason I go formal, and in fact I can feel myself like sort of, standing up straight and projecting myself now, is because I want to feel I'm here to do business.
Yeah.
I'm here. I mean business.
Pickles
I'm ready
is
to do.
in serious mode.
I have arrived, and that's not for the audience. That's for
It's about
me
to
perform at my best.
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole point, isn't it? About this whole scaling up thing. It's about just putting yourself in the next level mindset. So potentially that could be our new, buzz phrase, next level.
Yeah, I think I talk about it quite a lot, but I think something that you made me think about there was people like Steve Jobs, when he was synonymous for wearing the same thing every single day. Mark Zuckerberg, same thing every day. And so there's also
Simon Cowell, high-waisted trousers.
But there's something to be said about also having a kind of uniform, in inverted commas, that supports you to be able to think, I don't need to think, as in I just take it off the peg and I'm not thinking, I can't really wear that because I wore that last time I went to that networking event. I don't really want to wear the same thing every time. So that kind of negates that worry and stops you having to think about it. Therefore, you've got more energy and brain power to focus on other things. Yeah. So there's also like a bit of a contra against what we're saying.
And I think this episode is not about clothing and what you wear. It's about, next level up, start up to scale up mindset. And actually what you've just said is 100% linked to where we started, which was all around putting yourself in the scale up mindset, starting with the end in mind. You know, what is the big, hairy, audacious goal that you're working towards? And if you need to wear, you know, a power suit to help you achieve that, then do it. You know, whatever is going to get you in that zone to take your business to that next level, you've got to do it.